Puck drop just around the corner from a beautiful Montreal. The Red Wings and the Canadiens facing off tonight. The Red Wings hoping to come away with a big 2 points. And a reminder that if a Detroit player scores a hat trick, bring in a copy of the scoring summary to Arby's tomorrow and get another free small order of curly fries. You can find the scoring summary in your newspaper on the Red Wings page at foxsportsdetroit.com. Well, you guys, Daniel Alfredsson has really been stepping up of late. He has the most points against the Canadiens among all active NHL players, and I'm thinking he probably will be a factor in tonight's game as well, Ozzy.
Yeah, he's got a paltry 107, I believe. That's quite a few against the team.
A paltry?
He's been a nemesis against the Canadiens for his whole career, but he just is a guy that just players on your team want to follow. He's relaxed, he's confident, he's very, very poised when he's out there. He's everything the Red Wings could have asked for coming over from Ottawa. And you can really tell when you watch Ottawa play now how much they miss a player like Alfredsson and what a gain he's been for the Red Wings. He just knows how to play the game of hockey, and he's a true professional NHL player, and the guys following him. He's been a great addition. Yeah, with all the young players, I don't think we've made enough of Alfredsson's leadership and what he's meant to that locker room this year with Zetterberg being out and Datsyuk being out. I think he's been tremendous for the Red Wings.
Another thing I want to bring up, obviously, every night for the young guys, it seems like a test, like a new challenge for them. When you're playing Montreal, you know speed is going to be a factor. This could be a good thing for the Red Wings because we have some fast young guys on the team as well.
We do. Alfie, he's been a leader. I don't expect him to lead necessarily tonight, even though he's had great numbers against the Canadiens. You're looking for the youthful enthusiasm. You're looking for a lot of speed and energy from your young guys. We've seen it throughout the course of the season, and we need it tonight because Montreal does play with a ton of pace. And a guy I look for having a big game tonight who's had 4 goals in 4 games, kind of under the radar, but probably one of the fastest Red Wings there is, Darren Helm, because he's been out for so long, he's kind of went under the radar with us. We haven't talked about him, but he's been playing very well, and his game's been getting better and better every single game he's been back, and I expect him to have a big game tonight in a game that should be very highly paced. Yeah, we have the young guys, and we have the old guys, and we kind of put Darren Helm right in the middle somewhere.
He is. He's not a young guy. He's not old. He's in the middle.
He's a 20-something guy. He's part of that young core.
I know. As we get down the stretch here, do you find when you're in the grocery store, you're out and about, people are wondering, how many more points, Darren? How much can they do it, Ozzy? What's going on? We're going to take a look at the standings right now because I know at home everybody is watching these, including us and, of course, the guys in the Red Wings dressing room.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, this is not because I'm an analyst. I think I'm smart about everything, but they asked me a month ago, and I said they were going to make it. Only because I know the makeup of the team, the way they are. These guys have tons of pride. Just talking with these guys away from the rink, they were not going to miss. They just had it in them, and they've played great down the stretch here. I believe they're 7-2-1 in their last 10 games to get themselves in the place they are now with a huge opportunity here tonight and in the next 5 games to solidify a good spot. And to me, have an opportunity in that first round to knock one of these teams off. And that's a subjective answer. You know, to quantify it, if Toronto maxes out, they can only get to 92 points. If New Jersey maxes out, they can only get to 92 points. That means the Red Wings in their last 5 games have to get 93 points because right now, as of right now, New Jersey would have that tiebreaker. So there's the quantifying. You need to get that amount of points, get to 93, and you're in for sure.
Did you catch that at home? Write down the magic number, 93. Red Wings and Canadiens coming your way in just a few moments. Right now, we're going to send it back out to Montreal to Ken and Mick.
All right, Shannon, hello again, everybody. 4th and final meeting of the season between these original 6 rivals, and our goaltenders tonight are brought to you by your Southeast Michigan Ford dealers. And for the Red Wings, Jonas Gustafsson, his 2nd start in 15. He's won his past 2 starts, the last one beating Tampa Bay at the Joe Sunday for his 16th win of the season. And Carey Price had last night off as Peter Budaj beat the Senators. Game 57 of the season for Price. 5th all-time on the Montreal Canadiens win list. Brad Watson, Rob Martel are the referees. The Red Wings started well last night, didn't finish well. Montreal started really poorly last night, down 3-0 in Ottawa, 6 minutes in, but finished very well. They scored 7 straight goals in a 7-4 victory. So both teams want good starts tonight as Helm had a good chance in there on Carey Price as Helm starts with Drew Miller and Luke Glendening up front. Signed late last night to a new 3-year deal by the Red Wings. Glendening, as this will be icing in the face-off back in the Montreal zone as the Red Wings will change. Montreal unable to do so.
Well, Darren Helm with a good chance, and Carey Price right off the hop with a heck of a save. Mike Babcock, there you see it. 700 games with the Red Wings, ties Jack Adams for the most wins. Pretty amazing stuff. At what, 9 years here? Boy, oh boy. Pretty amazing stuff. And through the Hall of Fame teams that he had at the beginning to bringing up the youth now. Talk about the long and the short of it. Boy, it's been a different way to coach, I'm sure, but he's hung in there and done a heck of a job this year for sure.
Pacioretty gets knocked down and no call as Nyquist is back to get it as Montreal looks to get a change. Gus Nyquist carries to center. Up with Legwand and Franzen. Nyquist to the corner. Markov goes in after it on defense with Yemelin, who was banged up a bit last night in the win over Ottawa, but able to go tonight. And Montreal missing already. Josh George is on the back end with a broken hand, although he should be back in a week or so, and that'll be a big boost to their blue line. Alex Galchenyuk, who's had trouble finding the net of late, ahead for Gallagher and brought on there by Thomas Plekanec. Plekanec carries in number 14 for Montreal. It went off the skate of Galchenyuk, the third overall pick in the draft in 2012 behind Yakupov and Ryan Murray. Tipped in front of the goal as Brendan Gallagher got a piece of the puck.
These guys were a dangerous bunch against Detroit 10 days ago in that 5-4 win. But Gallagher, what a water bug he is, and for a little guy, he sticks his nose in there, and he's pretty dangerous.
This is the fourth meeting of the season. The Red Wings won 4-1 at the Joe and won 2-1 in here in overtime just after the Olympic break when Gus Nyquist got the winner. And a short time ago, Montreal won a scoring fest at the Joe 5-4. That was the Red Wings' last loss, in fact. They've since won 4 in a row and look for a season-high 5-game winning streak here tonight. Pavel Datsyuk out there. Datsyuk will shoot it in his second game back. He thought he was okay last night, playing just under 18 minutes of ice time. He vows to be even better tonight, and that's a good sign. Datsyuk tried to get one back to Brendan Smith as it was intercepted. Brian Gionta, the captain of Montreal, playing in his 300th career game as a Canadian tonight, and heavily taken into the boards. Brendan Smith, there's going to be a penalty here, and he's not getting up.
He's not happy about it. There's no question about that. His left ankle. Boy, oh boy. He's trying to skate it off, shake it off, anything off. And he's stinging right now, boy. Heavy collision in the end boards. Briere with his stick in the feet. I don't know how they can boo on that. Pretty obvious, easy call to make.
Tripping call as Briere goes to the box. So the Red Wings will head to a Bell Tire power play. Briere putting his hands up, seeing it on the big clock above center ice here. He didn't like it. So the Red Wings to the man advantage. Montreal's penalty killing has been perfect at home their past 6 games. In 10 of the past 13, Montreal's problem has been they've taken too many penalties. They want to cut back on that. So Tatar's got it. Back to the line to Alfredsson. To Kaiser. In front of the goal. Good save by Carey Price. Tatar picks it up. 19 goals on the season. Back to Alfredsson, right point. Walks the line, gives back to Tatar with room to shoot. He does, and that didn't miss by much on the stick side of Price. Riley Sheahan screening in front of him. Yurko moves it over to Tatar. Back to the line for Danny to Kaiser. Looks to Tatar again, and a one-timer! And a hard shot rocketed wide of the goal. De Kaiser over to Tatar again with a smooth move into Yurko with goals in consecutive games. Down low, Sheahan tries to throw it over, and he couldn't get it. Intended feed there for Alfredsson, who's got it now, and wires one. Oh, he scored quite a few in that building, in this building, right from that spot while with Ottawa. Alfredsson couldn't handle the puck, and it goes off his stick and back to center. Montreal in the midst of a frantic change there, as Alfredsson carried in and dumped it into the corner where Gionta goes to get it. Around to Markov, he missed it. First on it, picked up here by Legwand, goes back to the line to Kronwall. Kronwall from about 60 feet, down low. Alfredsson gives it back to him, the shot, and Price will scoop that and hang on.
Well, Legwand will go to the front of the net, not worried about what he's going to get with the cross checks and the bumping around as Therrien, who's had an interesting year. This is an awful place for criticism. French and English both here in Quebec and Montreal. And he's had a war almost, it seems like, all year long with his defenseman, PK Subban.
Well, that he has. And Subban and Therrien, not since probably Patrick Roy and Mario Tremblay, have personalities clashed like this in Montreal between player and coach. Montreal wins that draw and sent down the ice by Gionta.
And the tabloids absolutely love it, too. They can't get enough of it, right?
Yeah. And Subban's a restricted free agent end of the year. And he only played 37 seconds in the first period last night in Ottawa, benched by Therrien after being a -2 early in the game when Montreal was down 3-0. The Cannons threw it in front, but Leguan to pick it up. 15 seconds left in the man advantage for Detroit. Leguan brought it in across the line. He's got Datsyuk and Franzen with him, and Nyquist and Kronwall. Kronwall here to Franzen, top of the circle, and a shot and a stick save. And that ricocheted off Mike Weaver. It's in back of the goal, picked up by Gus Nyquist, looks in front of the net. And Franzen couldn't get to it. Plekanec cleared it off his own man, Briere, who was out of the box. Leguan took a bump. Now Daniel Briere's got it. Look at Nyquist steal that puck. He got it into Franzen, back to Nyquist. And he just couldn't get to it. As a good job by Plekanec defensively to knock it back to the Red Wing line. Franzen went back for Quincy, who was nowhere near in a position to get that puck. Glendening out now, along with Helm and Miller. As the top unit for Montreal is out, Thomas Vanek with Desharnais and Pacioretty. 10 points last night for this line in Ottawa. Pacioretty with 5 of them himself. Vanek on another 3-point night, and Desharnais with 2. Back to Subban, now to Bouillon. The most mobile defenseman along with Subban. Gustafsson juggled it, but he'll hold on. And while this fourth line that you see with Glendening out there for the Red Wings with Helm and Miller is going to see a lot of Montreal's top unit. And Mike Babcock last night, as our local Toyota dealers brings you the scouting report on the Red Wings fourth line, thought they were the best line for the Red Wings 24 hours ago.
Well, a lot of times, more than not, you're going to see these guys starting games, especially on the road where they have to put their lineup in first, and usually the other team likes their big guns to start, so the checking specialists are starting it off for Mike Babcock.
Kronwall joined the rush and took the shot that Price will grab and hold on to.
But Glendening's speed is good to go along with Darren Helm, and he's made a big difference as you look at Mr. Kronwall, who, if the Red Wings would have their way, would probably cut his minutes as they go through the rest of the season if they have that luxury. They may not have it, but that's what they'd like to do, I'm sure.
46 points for Kronwall, 10th among National Hockey League defensemen. And Brendan Smith has really benefited, as you would expect, playing with the Red Wings veteran defensemen. And Smith okay and out there with them as Sheahan, Tatar, and Yurko. The kids are up for the Red Wings. Back of the goal, it came through, and Price will hold on again. As Montreal has Plekanec, Galchenyuk, and Gallagher out there.
Plekanec had a couple against the Red Wings here at the Joe.
And they all huddle to discuss as the Red Wings make a line change. They obviously didn't like the way that face-off went. And again, after they started so poorly within 6 minutes of the game last night in Ottawa against Paul McLean Senators, Montreal was down 3-0. They ended up tying the game and never looked back. They were up 7-3 at one point before Ottawa got one late. Gallagher pushed it ahead, the 5'9" forward, former 5th-round pick. Along with Galchenyuk, and now Gallagher's hurt as Brendan Smith took him into the boards. Markov's shot went wide, came right in front, punched behind by Kronwall to Smith. Alfredson put it to the corner. It came loose for Abdelkader onto Pavel Datsyuk. That's knocked out of the air by Markov's high stick, so we'll step out here. We played 6:05 in the opening period. Shaking up Gallagher. We'll be back. Brendan Gallagher, the forward for Montreal, and their second line winger is leaving. He was shaken up right here with Brendan Smith.
2 guys fighting for the puck. He lost his balance. Into the boards he goes. 19 goals for this little guy. 5'9", 185 pounds. But boy, he likes to stick his nose in there, and that's why he's getting rewarded. He really lost his balance heavily and went in there head first and cracked his head on the wall. Helmet or no helmet, sometimes the helmet causes the damage, and the skin explodes underneath the helmet with the collision of the helmet and the skin. Not good.
Montreal made just one lineup change from last night. George Peros, who doesn't play frequently, is out, and Rennie Bourque, who's got the puck now, is back in. Bourque with a shot, and Gustafsson will hold on. Bourque taken to the boards. He's been a healthy scratch for 6 of the last 12 games for Montreal as Rennie Bourque, and earlier in the season, more than that, he's really struggled. He came over from Calgary in the Mike Camilleri deal a few years ago.
Well, he's in the lineup for Montreal, and for Detroit, Datsyuk and Abdelkader were the only two that weren't in the lineup for the Red Wings 9 days ago when the Canadiens beat them 5-4. Bourque's got speed, but he's struggled to have a good year and isn't getting a lot of ice time because of it.
Desharnais back out with Vanek and Max Pacioretty, who's got the puck back to Andrei Markov, and another shot that'll be held by Gustafsson.
The Red Wings better get better on these faceoffs. They haven't won too many here in the first 6 minutes and change of this game. And a lot of these shots that are going to the net today and around the NHL through a lot of traffic. Goalies can't see them. Too many big bodies in front of them. And they don't cover the points like they used to anymore. Man-to-man coverage down low. And those point shots, if they get on net, sometimes cause real problems for the goaltender.
Quincy around for Darren Helm. He'll lift one in, but did so from his own side of center, but no icing as PK Subban back to get it. Ahead for Pacioretty as Subban joins the rush. Pacioretty goes wide with it, looks back to Subban, and he just missed it. In front of the goal, Subban's already played more in the first than he did last night. Here comes Helm carrying in. Quincy with a shot. Oh, and a piece of that off the stick of Price and just wide of the left post. De Kaiser backhands it in and slow to get up. Quincy.
He's shaking up.
Drew Miller. Quincy looks to the bench. He wants off. He's going that way. So too is Helm. And a bouncing puck back into the Red Wing zone. As Kronwall is there to get it. For Yurko. Got his head up as Markov nailed him, playing in his 137th consecutive game. Andrei Markov to lead Montreal. And here's a guy who's just missed that puck at center, has had a lot of knee injuries, but healthy lately. Briere, as Markov's in front of the Red Wing net, and just missed on a redirect. Over there to hold in it. The right point position was Plekanec, but the puck bounced back to center. As Galchenyuk gives one back for Markov. For Alexei Emelin, the hard-hitting defenseman, number 74 in red. Keep your head up when he's there, like Kronwall territory. Brendan Smith circles the goal, chased by Galchenyuk and held.
Look out.
And no call. Galchenyuk back, Plekanec in. What a stop by Gustafsson. Oh, a sprawling, desperate save. Oh. And another one. Paul Gustafsson, that 6'5" frame came in handy there. And a diving play to send it back in, and a penalty upcoming.
Tatar won't like this call for sure. How this puck doesn't end up in the net, I don't know. Brendan Smith lost his balance. Cross-check. Who is it? Smith? It's going to go. He got knocked down a couple of times. There it is there. I don't think there's a penalty there. Great scoring chance there and super save there. How he does in this one here. Hits something and stays out. Where's the cross-check? Still haven't seen a cross-check to anybody.
What a chance for Briere in a bid for his 300th career goal. And if Gustafsson didn't pull a groin on either of those two stops, he never will again. Boy, oh boy, the size comes to play right there from the man known as the Monster.
So Brendan Smith gets the penalty? I'm not sure how he cross-checked anybody. He was on his rear end.
That's it.
Okay. That's after he recovered, got up, and the referee was standing right there.
So Montreal goes to the power play. It hasn't been going well lately. Vanek off the outside of the post. 0 for 14 their past 4 games of the Canadiens. But you have to beware when you got Markov and Subban at the back end, and Pacioretty's got it on the left wing. Into Vanek to Pacioretty, a wide open net. Wow. And he couldn't punch it past Lashoff with Gustafsson out of position.
I'm not sure that Vanek didn't pass that puck too many times. He had a great chance to score himself.
Vanek's got it again. He's been terrific for the Canadiens. The Islanders didn't get a whole lot for him. Neither of the deals. Comes here to Helm. And Helm will carry out to center. And Montreal will start back with the man advantage. Subban overskated the puck for Alex Galchenyuk. Just 2 goals the past 28 games for Galchenyuk, who sends it back to the point. Subban gives Galchenyuk the puck back to Subban, a shot. And Jonas Gustafsson will hold on.
What did that do? He did something funny. Yeah, look at that chance just a moment ago for Vanek. Again, a face-off. Montreal gets control with help. And here, hold it right there, guys. See, Vanek gets in position, but the Red Wings read this really well. They're trying to set him up for the one-timer. He scores a lot of goals right there, but they defended him perfectly. Look, 2 Red Wings right around him. Riley Sheahan, the forward, with the defenseman as well. So not much for the big guy, number 20, Vanek there.
Vanek had the game-winning goal in the 5-4 victory at Joe Louis Arena. So the Canadians man advantage. Galchenyuk flipped one back to Yemelin, now to Briere. With a shot, and Gustafsson got that with his left arm and up into the netting and out of play. So the face-off coming up to his left as you look at Daniel Briere, a former Phoenix Coyotes first-round pick in '96, now in his 16th season.
That's a great scoring chance right there. And Gus got it off his shoulder. Briere can score goals wherever he's been. Buffalo, Philadelphia. He knows how to find the back of the net. And he's not a very big guy either. So the rules and the way the rules are called or not called in this game today have really helped him with his size.
You know, Montreal, one thing they do lack is size, and that's why getting Vanek was so important for them. Pacioretty's a big body. Couldn't get through Abdelkader. He's up along with Miller, and he'll clear it in. Price couldn't play it. It was outside the trapezoid, and Abdelkader just missed getting that pass from Drew Miller. Miller bumped by Markov. With the penalty now over to Brendan Smith.
Offside. Picked up his back foot, and that'll give us a chance to take a break. 9:55 to go. No score in this one. Red Wings at the Canadiens tonight. Well, Mr. Pacioretty, we've documented very well his 38 goals so far. And boy, did he ever run rampant against the Ottawa Senators last night. With a 3-goal performance. Scored him in all kinds of different ways. Got a great shot, big and strong at 6'3", 215 pounds. That one-timer there. No goaltender stopping that. And there's your Flagstar Bank look at the Triple Crown. 3 hat tricks by Tyler Seguin in Dallas. What a year coming from Boston. And Pavelski, oh my God. He's having a wonderful year. And then Mr. Pacioretty, the former University of Michigan Wolverine.
And Pacioretty scored his 11th game-winning goal of the season last night. He's got 3 of the last 4 game winners for Montreal. And his 11 game-winning goals, the most since Stéphane Richer back in 1988.
Stéphane Richer, there's a name from the past.
Well, when he gets to 12 game-winning goals, if he does this season, and hopefully not tonight, he'll have the most since Guy Lafleur. How about that?
Now that's somebody to tie.
Yes, for sure. Franzen up with Legwand and Nyquist. As the Canadiens, Gionta gets it back from Lars Eller. Former St. Louis Blue, acquired in the Yaroslav Halak deal, who's no longer in St. Louis. Nyquist, Franzen, to the net, to the goal, and just knocked past Nyquist on his attempt. As the Canadiens, Bourque, look at Nyquist come back and steal the puck. Off the bench to Tar. Shooting and out to stop it was Price. Sheahan on the rebound. He tried to bank one in off Price from the side of the goal. Sheahan put it back into Tatar. Eller just clears it desperately up the boards. Blocked by Quincy and then by Sheahan. Tatar back of the net. Yurko lurking. Tatar in front. Off Price's stick. Nearly put it in behind himself. Eller clears it around. Danny DeKeyser with the reach came over on Bourque and beat him to the puck. Yurko down low, knocked away, not out. Quincy held it in. Montreal fans, you can sense they're getting antsy here as the Red Wings apply the pressure. Lars Eller. Bad bounce for Montreal. Hit the glass and stayed in. Bourque trying to get to it. DeKeyser got an angle on him and with the reach able to push the puck to the corner. Then he ties up Rennie Bourque. Tatar in tight quarters getting away from Plekanec. Got help there from Yurko. DeKeyser pushed it ahead. And Gallagher okay after being injured earlier. Back out with his line. Gallagher comes through into the Red Wing zone on the right wing side. Taken to the boards hard by Quincy. Kicked ahead by Datsuk. Off Quincy's stick on a hard pass back. Up for Datsyuk and Subban for Montreal. Norris Trophy winner in last season's shortened year. Fired in by Gallagher. Brendan Smith. Helm over here to Glendening. Back for Miller. Knocked away. It was tipped by Pacioretty. Pacioretty got rocked to the boards by Luke Glendening. On comes David Desharnais. Slow start to the season, but making up for lost time. Played back there by Vanek, but no one there. Yemelin beat Glendening to the puck, who persisted with it and gets one into the Montreal zone. Price was forced by the speed of Helm. Miller checked by Desharnais, muscling Desharnais and able to make the play in behind. Helm got taken to the board smartly by Yemelin. Helm, though, stayed with it. Second man in, Glendening, trying to kick at it. Yemelin's glove was in the way. Taken back by Lashoff. Yemelin will try the other way to Markov. Yemelin got knocked down by Helm. At center for Thomas Vanek. 3 3-point games already for Montreal. Here's Pacioretty with it. The shot just wide of Gustafsson. Back of the net to David Desharnais. Pacioretty was open. He's got it now on the left wing side. Max Pacioretty rink wide with it, but too hard to handle for Weaver. Mike Weaver, who had a terrific game last night, had the 3-2 goal for Montreal, brought them within one of Ottawa after being down 3-0. Weaver's first goal in 79 games. Backhanded ahead. Here comes White. Point one, big save, rebound, scores! Bourneval.
Well, a line change killed him here. Hold it right there. There you see the puck being turned over right at this point. Nobody way over here on the far side. And the defenseman coming on got too far to go to catch up with the play. And then they trailed. Nice job to drive the net here. Wide open chance, though. Gus Nyquist is mad at himself that he couldn't get back to try to help out right there. And it's 1-0 Montreal. Turnover, line change, simultaneous. Pucks in the back of the net just like that.
Michael Bourneval capitalizing with his 7th goal of the season. A rookie who came over in a trade with Colorado. So the fourth liners for Montreal come up with a goal to make it 1-0. Danny to Kaiser. Lost control of the puck as Bourneval's got it again, up along with White and Briere. Bourneval battling as Briere's picked up the spot of Bourque on this line. White getting the lone assist at 14-16 to make it 1-0 for the Canadiens. We're going to be in the playoffs for the 6th time the past 7 seasons. Mentioned Montreal played last night in Ottawa. They are terrific in the back half of back-to-back games with a 7-1-1 record. So they show no weariness in their play after playing the night before. Abdelkader goes wide with it. Escapes a hard hit, comes back to the line, held in here by Kronwall. Put it to the goal, and Price, that arrived quickly, hit him in the head.
Might have hit him right in the nose.
Datsyuk, checked by Gallagher, took it away from him. Then Datsyuk trying to regain control. And Galchenyuk put the puck out of play. So it's 1-0 Montreal. You're watching Red Wings hockey on Fox Sports Detroit.
This game break is brought to you by your Metro Detroit Chevy dealers. Tigers held up their part of the April in the deep bargain today on the strength of 5 RBI from Torrey Hunter. This home run was part of the 7-6 win over the Orioles. Ken and Mick, back to you in Montreal.
Thank you, Shannon. And Michel Therrien, they're not necessarily looking ahead to an opponent in the playoffs, but they did say they're likely going to be Tampa Bay, and within this next week or so, they're going to start to prepare that way. They lost 3-1 at Tampa Bay Tuesday, and Michel Therrien saying they played really poorly that night. It was Montreal's first loss in 6 to what is potentially their first-round opponent. They're just battling Tampa Bay right now to see who's going to have home ice advantage, who's going to finish second, who's going to be third in the Atlantic Division. And Montreal will likely be the lone Canadian team in the playoffs. Toronto's really the only other one with an outside chance, and the last time there was just one Canadian team in, it was Montreal back in 1973. So it doesn't happen too often, but Canadian team struggling, all but the Canadians, who will have a face-off back in the Detroit zone. Now Montreal in a 1-0 lead on the Bourneval. Tally, how did it happen, Mick?
Well, here's what happens here. You see, Kindle's looking up here. He wants to make a pass in here. The Montreal Canadiens make a line change right there in behind Franzen. He doesn't see him. It's just a bad luck right there. He jumps in front. Boom. That means everybody's caught. The drive to the net here. And Gus Nyquist is mad. Hold it right there. He kind of stopped skating. And that's why he's mad at himself that he couldn't catch the Canadian dumping the puck into the open net.
Desharnais gets checked there by Danny DeKeyser, who hooks him. Vanek wheeled one in front of the net. Back to the line to Tenorti, and the rookie had a shot blocked. Jonas Gustafsson got a stick down and then got bumped. And there's going to be a penalty here. And it could be going to Glendening. Let's see. Yep, Luke Glendening's going to go to the box for hooking.
Well, again, when you're losing draws and chasing the puck, I guess that's what they called. He hooked Vanek, and Vanek fell into Gustafsson.
Well, Montreal in a 1-0 lead here, and there's good news for the Canadians out of town because Dallas, after one period of play, leads Tampa Bay in Tampa 3-0. Oh, off the goalpost! What a rocket of a shot that one was from Markov. Datsuk steals the puck from Subban. PK Subban has to turn back as he couldn't get past Abdelkader. Plekanec will dump it in. Good stop by Gustafsson, back of the net, able to move it. And that worked well for Detroit. Gustafsson, big part of that. And kill off some time here with under 3 to go in the period. 1:20 remaining in the penalty to Luke and Glendening as Subban gives it to Markov, and back to PK Subban. They'll often man the points for the entire 2-minute power play. Subban back to Andre Markov again. DeKeyser will grab that loose puck and he'll send Montreal back. And Subban goes to get it. But first Price will play one over to Markov. To David Desharnais. Undrafted free agent Desharnais. Here's Vanek. Side of the goal, held the post to Gustafsson. Here's Markov, left point. Little delay there to Thomas Vanek. Put it in front of the net, but Pacioretty couldn't get to the puck. And Kronwall able to get it down. Markov will set up. Abdelkader in leg one, and penalty killing assignment for Detroit. Good play by leg one to hound Desharnais, and Quincy will get it down the rest of the way. Quincy will be an unrestricted free agent end of the season. Eller. With the penalty to Glendening now expired. Lars Eller with a step on Riley Sheahan. Vanek's got it. Turn to the boards and taken there by DeKeyser as it's sent ahead for Glendening. Leg one just onside. Luke Glendening goes wide with it. Keeps control along the near boards as he gets bumped. Played ahead for Rennie Bourque. Flying up the wing is Gianta, who was a hero here in the last minute of play in the last meeting in this building between the two, tying up the game late before Gus Nyquist won it in overtime. Brendan Smith will wrap it around. Goes off a Canadiens player and back into the Montreal zone. Less than a minute to go in the opening period. Good play by Price. Moving it to the captain, Gianta de Bourque. Pass Kindle, who dumped him. There's a penalty coming up here to Jakob Kindle.
You got to call that.
No doubt about it.
You know, and that's one of those things where Kindle got caught a little bit flat-footed, and Bourque used his speed, and he's got lots of it, to move his feet and go wide, and Kindle, whether he meant to or not, still prevented a scoring chance, but he's going to pay a price for it and go to the box here with 39 seconds left in the first period. Canadians rattled one off the crossbar, about as square as you can get right there. Yeah. And it didn't go very far either. Living right, Gus, on that one.
Montreal's third power play of this game. Shots are 13-10 for the Canadians. Subban off Glendening.
Nice job, Kronwall.
And with help from Miller, down the ice it goes.
That's the way to fight for the puck, and got possession and made an easy clear.
Montreal's power play 17th in the league. Red Wings penalty killing is 11th. PK Subban goes wide with it.
Whoa!
Lost his footing and went down.
That'll do it. Wow. Talk about a runaway train.
Well, he only played 13 and a half minutes last night. He's got speed to burn here tonight.
Oh, he's acrobatic, and he is animated for sure. He's a great skating defenseman, the kid.
And speaking of animated, Thomas Tatar will guest with our Trevor Thompson. We'll let you guess which one's more animated in that regard. Our Ram first intermission, Darren, Ozzy, and Shannon. Welcome back to Montreal. The Canadians in a 1-0 lead over the Red Wings as the teams arrive back on the ice for period number 2. And a big night last night as Luke Glendening signed himself a new 3-year contract extension.
If you would have told me a couple years ago, probably even last year, that this would be happening, I would have probably laughed. But to be in the situation now, I'm excited, and it's, like I said, make the most of it.
And pretty good for a guy who began last year in Toledo and at the University of Michigan, was a walk-on, then played 4 seasons, final 2 years as captain, a top defensive forward as a senior there out of his hometown of Grand Rapids. And what a playoff he had last year with the Griffins, the highest scoring rookie in the American Hockey League. And a Calder Cup champion, and where he learned to play center.
Well, he's got a big smile, and rightfully so. Congratulations, Luke Glendening and your gang. Nice job, and he's filling a big spot here, killing penalties. The Detroit Red Wings are shorthanded for 1 minute and 20 seconds. Make that 21 to start the second period, and he wins the draw.
During the summer, he went to the Red Wings development camp when he didn't have to, just to work on his skating, and it obviously worked well enough to gain a spot here. A very favorable cap hit, too, on the new deal for the Red Wings.
Well, he and Miller are the #1 penalty killing unit.
Pacioretty goes in wide. Kronwall got it ahead, but PK Subban was there to take it for Montreal. David Desharnais cross to Markov. Max Pacioretty back of the goal. Back to Subban. A rocket of a shot went wide of the net. Glendening hard enough and got it down the ice. 35 seconds left in the Canadiens' man advantage. Their third of the game. Markov lost it. Here's Abdelkader trying to get past. Abdelkader going in. And a save by Price. Another shot. And Price stopped that. And Abdelkader with a good attempt shorthanded. As Pacioretty sent it rink wide, but intercepted there by Quincy. Ahead to Abdelkader. Just got his head up. Then lost an edge and went down. And Subban got it to center. And Quincy will rifle it right back, with the penalty to Kindle having just 5 seconds left in it. Plekanec. The right wing offensive corner in front by Vanek. Galchenyuk couldn't pick it up. Kindle out of the box. Helm with a lead pass for David Legwand on the left wing. Legwand in deep, and Price no problem.
Pretty sure of himself, making sure there's no garbage laying around the front of the net. Abdelkader straight off the bench to get himself that chance. He stole the puck and looking for at least a penalty to be called. Canadians got a bit messed up in their own system there on the power play, so Carey Price an easy redirect to shuffle that puck into the corner on Abdelkader.
Tipped ahead by Galchenyuk. Could this be another icing? It will be. And the face-off will come back in the Montreal zone.
Well, Brendan Smith was shaken up a little bit in that first period. Seems to be okay. Sprained his ankle, I think. And he crashed into the boards pretty much on his own. That's why they were screaming that Briere didn't touch him. But nonetheless, logging a lot of ice time. This time he's out here with Kindle. So a bit of a change there, Ken. He's been playing a lot with Kronwall. So Mike Babcock here in the second period has made that switch up early.
Off the draw, Nyquist able to get it back to Kindle to Nyquist. Leg one back of the net. Getting around Weaver. Got that long reach with that stick he uses. And batted back out to center and rifled back in by Kindle. Weaver's been a very good pickup for Montreal. Coming over from Florida, the trade deadline, the 35-year-old. Buchanan's back of the Red Wing net. Legwand will scoop it up. Brendan Smith through neutral ice to Franzen. Turned over, but Nyquist trying to get back on Eller. Who rifles it in? Gustafsson. On the hard around off the skate of Nyquist onto his stick. He'll just send a bouncing puck to Nordy. Son of longtime defenseman Mark. The name's familiar.
Big tough guy for the Minnesota North Stars.
Good shot blocker.
Shane's not
Late
happy.
penalty coming here to Montreal.
He lost his stick and the glove, and he is shaking his left hand as Gustafsson's going to go to the bench now.
Turning back is Yurko, and delayed call. Look out.
Riley Shan not in good shape over there with that left hand. Pete Van Zandt looking at him right now.
To Kaiser, ahead to Tatar, 6 skaters for Detroit. Here's Datsuk, just couldn't handle it cleanly. Alfredson got it back for DeKaiser, and the Red Wings again still the delayed penalty here with 6 skaters and Gustafsson on the bench. Thomas Tatar, a little delay. Yurko, back to the point, Quincy. For Tatar, spin back. Quincy waits. Datsuk. Great control here, Detroit.
Abel's having a lot of trouble.
Yep.
You know, and that's to be expected coming back into the lineup after being gone 5 weeks.
Montreal getting a change on the delayed call. And finally, Datsuk lost the puck, and Montreal touches, and now they'll be shorthanded.
Yeah, the more he tries to do right now, number 13, the more trouble he's probably going to get in. He's just got to keep it simple and straight. There's a, didn't look like a major slash, but he caught him on the back of the hand, a chop with the, right on the wrist actually, with the heel of the stick. And these gloves today, you might as well have a set of surgical gloves on. They don't protect nothing. I mean nothing.
He's gone to the room.
Not a good sign.
So Rennie Bork's in the box for the slash. And Riley Sheahan and Pete Van Zandt make their way behind Jimmy Howard, who picked up his 20th win of the season last night for a 5th consecutive season for Jimmy, who's backing up Gustafsson tonight. Red Wings look to get even here on the Bell Tire power play. Buchanan's down the ice. Kronwall has Alfredson, Nyquist, Legwand, and Franzen. Nyquist back of the net. Markov there first to Buchanan's. How good hold in at the line though by Kronwall. Kronwall back to the middle. Franzen left side. Checking his skates to be sure he's out of the crease was Legwand. Franzen, wrist shot just wide on a redirect.
Price never saw it.
No, he didn't.
Never saw it.
Alfredson back to the line. Franzen left wing side. Nyquist quick shot tipped by Legwand. A piece of that by Price. Alfredson able to locate that puck, and a good turn back here by Nyquist. Then Alfredson shoveled along on the backhand for Franzen. For Alfredson. Shot got blocked and Franzen missed it. Franzen check, then goes down. Plekanec's got a stick in on him. Great hustle again by Nyquist, and he gets cross-checked to the ice by White. Bodies going everywhere. Another penalty coming here to Montreal. Here's Nyquist, couldn't handle it cleanly.
Just give him the puck.
They do.
That's the way.
With 32 seconds remaining in the Rennie Bourque penalty, Montreal will be 2 men short.
Well, it'll be interesting to see if with Sheahan gone, whether Mike Babcock will use a timeout here, because his big, well, Sheahan's back. That's a good sign. You just see him on the bench now. That the big line of Nyquist and Franzen are dead tired, being knocked all over the place. That may be the call right there at center ice. And Detroit with some opportunities, but the bounce is not going their way right now. So we got a timeout by Les Canadiens, and that'll help Detroit. The referee just pointed to the Canadian side, but we're being told it was the Red Wings. So, okay.
Well, Red Wing fans, it's more than hockey. It's playoff hockey, and it's where you need to be. Tickets for round 1 of the Stanley Cup playoffs are on sale now. Get yours today by calling 313-471-7575. Ticket executives are standing by. The Red Wings on the verge of a 23rd consecutive playoff season, and Boston clinching first in the East. So if the Red Wings finish 8th, they'll play Boston. If they're 7th, they'll play Pittsburgh. And Riley Sheahan okay to be back, and that's great news.
Ken, the Red Wings are 32% on faceoffs. If they ever needed a win, it's right now with 32 seconds out of 5-on-3. They need the draw.
Franzen will take it against Gionta and won it. Alfredsson and Kronwall on the backside.
Alfredsson, the right-hand shot over here in the left, and here he comes.
Sheahan in front on the screen. Franzen down low, the shot, and Price will grab it before Nyquist nor Sheahan could get a stick on it.
Well, it wasn't the most high percentage opportunity for sure. And these 5-on-3s, I don't understand why they don't try to get down low from across the front of the net, or at least post somebody up between the hash marks and go for a quick pass right in this area here with one-timer at the goaltender. Now they got to win another draw. And they don't, but they got a break.
Here's Kronwall for Pavel Datsyuk. Kronwall to Alfredsson. Band on it, broke his stick.
Gotta go get a stick.
Franzen, quick shot off the outside of the post. Nyquist. Datsyuk to Alfredsson. One penalty over. Bourque out of the box. And then Kronwall had to negotiate around that errant stick. That's broken. Montreal still a man short. Plenty of time here for the Red Wings on the Bell Tire power play. It'll come back to the line, and Datsyuk will have to chase it. Daniel Alfredsson with great success against Montreal through his career. Point shot. Save made by Price. Quick feet there. .50 seconds remaining in the man advantage. The carry chant here in Montreal at the Bell Center. Kendall to Datsyuk. He couldn't take that pass. Kendall rimmed it around. Tatar over to get it. Back into the corner. Shoved there is Datsyuk. Then Tatar couldn't get to it. And Gionta forced Gustafsson to come out and play it. He'll make the pass over to Tatar's stick, but Yurko's there to kick it back. Kendall flying up the right wing side. Kendall to Tatar. He's right in. And went too far in the backhand. Puck still loose back of the goal. Now it came into the crease. And Price will hold on with 5 seconds left in the penalty. Yurko being roughed up in front.
Well, they're digging for gold. The puck's not covered. No whistle. You got to keep jamming the net. Here was a good defensive play right there by Tenorti, it looked like, to prevent Thomas Tatar from getting a good scoring chance. Make that Emlyn 74 in red. And Tatar went to the backhand. Good to see Riley Sheahan back. guys will take a seat for now and see if they can't get it going when they get back to regulation. The kid line.
Miller kicked it. In comes Glendening as the penalty to Plekanec is over. So nothing doing for the Red Wings, but Glendening's got it now. Back for Smith. Blocked by Markov, played it ahead, Plekanec. The only goal scorer in this game, Bourneval. Back to Thomas Plekanec again, skip wide of Gustafsson. Helm on the left wing. Ahead for Drew Miller. Glendening taken out by Subban. Helm into the slot. Brendan Smith a shot and saved by Price. Another try. That was cut off. Back to the point again for Brendan Smith, left side. Quincy. For Helm. To the line. Good hold in by Quincy. Backhanded Glendening. Oh, he almost had Helm going to the front of the net. You come with speed at Montreal. Their defense is not the most mobile in the National Hockey League besides Subban and maybe Bouillon. So speed can really push them back. Datsuk went down as Alfredsson carries in. 4 Canadians box out Alfredsson. Came loose for Price. Datsuk digging away at it. It's still loose. And hopped over Kronwall's outstretched stick. Away goes Pacioretty. Can he get past Lashoff? He does. He's in. He scores. Oh, is he hot? Max Pacioretty.
Boy, that goal really hurt. You come so close to scoring at the other end. And I mean, Pacioretty just put it into another gear. And what a bullet shot. Blocker side. Lashoff tried to dive and get him, but Pacioretty did a nice job to protect the puck. And look at this, how close it was at the other end. Abdelkader didn't see it behind him. And then the race is on, and Pacioretty makes no mistake.
He had 3 breakaways last night, scored on 2 of them. He said he was getting a lot of heat from his teammates because if he'd scored on half the breakaways he'd had this season, he'd have 60 goals. He said he's got 39 right now.
Well, it's halfway through the game, and that's a big 2-goal lead for Montreal.
Boy, he just keeps on going. He had 5 points last night for Pacioretty. 9 points now. In recent play for Pacioretty. He came in 4th in the National Hockey League with 38 goals. Now at 39. Here's Nyquist. Saved by Price. And that's the daunting task when you try to... Now you have to get 3 on Carey Price. And did get 4 on him last time, albeit in a 5-4 setback at the Joe. Even earlier this season when the Red Wings won at the Joe 4-1.
It'll be a long night here if Detroit doesn't get the next goal.
That's it. Shots are 20-14 in favor of Detroit with a better second period, at least to start to. Nyquist. Went wide. Tatar. Back for Sheahan. Now to Tatar. Yurko to help Sheahan. Bourneval got raped to the boards by Tatar, who kept with it and then lost it. Good play back to Smith. Knocked down, block by Bourneval. Tatar another shot, blocked again. That time by Subban. He's slow to get up. Subban there to recover and backhand it out. 30 seconds past the halfway point in this game. Still plenty of time left in it. But yes, the Red Wings need the next goal. Yurko across center and in. Around by Bouillon. Subban hurt on that last play, as we noted, has gone to the Montreal dressing room. But it's Briere going in. And a save made by Gustafsson, who knocked away the rebound. Rennie Bourque played it back to the line. Keeping it in there was Weaver. Glendening knocked it back to center. Montreal was offside and will have to tag up as Ryan Lashoff's back to get it. For Kindle, with 4 points his past 4 games.
Oh, let go.
That's into the Red Wing bench off Glendening's stick. No one hurt there. It's a good thing the way things have gone this year. Subban is back for Montreal. Well, Gus Nyquist is 4th in Red Wing scoring. Not since Robert Lang in 2004 has someone other than Pavel Datsyuk or Henrik Zetterberg led Detroit in points. Zetterberg still leading with 48, and again, we're not counting David Legwand here, who has 50. But those who played with Detroit throughout the season, Zetterberg just a point ahead of Daniel Alfredsson, then Kronwall and Nyquist are right behind. So it's been all Zetterberg or Datsyuk since Robert Lang, and maybe someone new this season. If they can catch, you hope someone's going to catch Zetterberg, because that's trouble for Detroit if they don't.
Really?
I would think. And I don't think even Pavel Datsyuk with his magic can pull up enough in the final games here to make that happen again for him. Datsyuk taken out by Bourque. Stays with it though. Pavel's trying as hard as he can. Finally Bourque went down. Quincy took it away from Gionta. Good play to DeKeyser. Moved ahead to Alfredsson for Datsyuk. Off the glove of Markov and out of Montreal's territory. Smith reversed that. Coming off the bench is Franzen. On the hard around. Price couldn't knock down back of the goal. Weaver. Moved up to Galchenyuk. Plekanec on the left wing, up with Gallagher. Good diving play there by Smith. That puck came out across the line, but Franzen was there to knock it away anyway to Nyquist. 5 Canadians are back as the shot goes off a leg.
Boy, they're hitting a lot of legs and sticks here tonight.
Gallagher made the play. Galchenyuk off Plekanec's stick. Tatar was going off on a change. Boy, that was way too many men on the ice.
They had 6 guys that they catch it.
They sure did. I'm not sure if they did or not. No, Tatar was scampering to go to the bench. Did the Red Wings ever get a break there if that wasn't detected?
No kidding.
And I don't think it was.
I thought that he was trying to get off on a line change, but what happened is too many guys came on the change, and he scampered to get back. 2-0 for the home team. We'll be back in a moment.
With a win, Mike Babcock can pass Jack Adams for #1 in Red Wings history. He's going to get Jack Adams consideration for Coach of the Year. And what a job he did for Canada coaching at the Olympics in Sochi. In previous Olympic years, the final 10 games in 06, the final 10 games in 2010. The Red Wings won 8-1-1. This year, they're 4-1 down the stretch. So is this a good omen? All part of our McDonald's fun facts.
Well, they won't be anywhere near 100 points. But still, a good finish, and they're already on a pretty good start in the last 10. They're 7-2-1.
And the remarkable thing when you think about it is how many Red Wings are sent to the Olympics, and yet it hasn't slowed them down in 06, although it was that year was not good in the first round against Edmonton. And then in 2010, and Pavel Datsyuk, who managed to play through and was pretty good for Russia in Sochi, but then obviously the knee just couldn't take the wear and tear, and that's why he had the last 16 games off before last game, and this will be icing against Detroit to give that knee a rest. But playing now for Pavel Mick, bottom line is he can't do any more damage to the knee. The rest certainly helped him.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. He'll probably have to have something done with that thing over the summertime, we're thinking. I don't know that he can rehab it 100% with even a lot of time, but nonetheless, as long as you convince the player that he can't get injured anymore, then he's okay psychologically to go out and do what he has to do to be effective. And Datsyuk will do that very thing. And a lot of people talk about, 80% this guy, that guy. I don't care for that in a big way, but nonetheless, he's a great hockey player, and he can do it when he's not at his best.
Tenorti, just one, back in front, they score! Gionta! In his 300th game as a Montreal Canadian, the captain gets a big goal, the third one of this game.
And again, Detroit has trouble in their own zone staying up with the Canadians. They're getting to the puck quickly, and I mean, nice little back play right there by Eller. to set up Gionta in front of the net. Another face-off loss results in the puck ended up in the back of the net. So all Canadians. And two red jerseys in front of the net. The only guy there is the goaltender. No chance there. So the Canadians with a commanding 3-0 lead just over the halfway point of the second period. And it really hasn't been that bad of a mismatch here that it looks like. 3-0. Carey Price has been really good. Detroit's had their chances, and on a timely basis, the Canadians have taken advantage of what they've had.
Montreal scored 7 last night in Ottawa and have 3 here tonight. Vanek ahead to Pacioretty, who's got a goal tonight. Today, Desharnais went back for Pacioretty again. Vanek to Pacioretty. Thomas Vanek, saved by Gustafsson. Pacioretty to David Desharnais. Checked by Smith. Desharnais turning in back of the goal. Brendan Smith able to get it from him. And Shane able to get it up to Yerkel. Find some open ice. Red Wings will go for a change as Shane will move in on the forecheck. Round it comes to Mike Weaver. Knocked down by Kronwall. Franzen to Datsuk. Couldn't get a shot away. Datsuk stays with it. Hooked a little bit. Kept control. Stick in the lane there by Pacioretty, who wants off in a change. It's a longer change here in period 2 for both teams. Kronwall couldn't play it ahead. Datsuk there to recover. Knocked away from Briere. Bourneval followed up. Now he's lost his stick. Kronwall, good pass. Franzen back to Datsuk on a backhander. Easy save for Carey Price. Datsuk left it for Quincy to Nyquist. To the other side, Franzen. Quickly back to the line to Jakob Kindl with a shot. And around Datsuk, Price saw it, and he'll hold on. So a step out here at the Bell Center in downtown Montreal. The Canadians in a 3-0 lead.
This game break is brought to you by your Metro Detroit Chevy dealer. Stars in Tampa and lightning strikes twice. Andre Schuster picks a big moment for his first goal of the season. It's a game by the Bay Stars, clinging to a 3-2 lead through 2 periods of play. Ken and Mick, back to you.
Well, Shannon, Thomas Vanek has been a really nice addition for the Montreal Canadiens. He had started on a line with Thomas Buchanan. It didn't really work out, but since coming with Desharnais and Pacioretty, they're a formidable unit now, and they're going to give, if it's Tampa Bay, a whole lot of trouble in the first round of the playoffs if they meet, as Price will hold on. And Delta from the Sabres and the New York Islanders to Montreal, and you see his numbers in 13 games with the Canadiens and a big night last night. Well, he's put up some good numbers, and one of the great big guys in front of the net on redirections and tips in front. Lead pass for Helm. Helm with leg one and Alfredsson. The Red Wings trying to mix things up here with some different combinations. Yeah. You know, Mike Babcock wouldn't stand pat for too long on that end. Alfredsson turning up high with it. The shot tipped by leg one in front of the goal. Helm trying to bang it in, and somehow it stayed out. So goalpost action there as the Red Wings couldn't get it to go through as Bourque misses. And that's the way it's going, and the Red Wings' best chances are finding iron here. Franzen earlier, and a great chance there with Helm on the doorstep. Here's Yurko. Red Wings desperately need one here in the final 3 minutes of period 2 to get some life going into the dressing room for the third. And that is up and out of play.
Well, they're playing 3 games and 4 nights here, Ken, tonight, in 9 games in 14 days, the Red Wings, and there's the goalpost.
Don't know if it would have counted.
Kicked it in. Yeah, tried to kick it in.
It would have been a no goal.
It would have been no goal.
However,
but nonetheless, they've had their chances. Carey Price, I'd say, has been the best player on the ice tonight, and Montreal's taken advantage of every opportunity they've had in the bounces to have a 3-0 lead.
Broken stick by Quincy. Has to drop that and go get another. Datsuk was there to keep it in. Puck stayed there for him. Datsuk in off Nyquist. And Price sprawling holds on as Nyquist gets roughed up, and Franzen doesn't like that. As Datsuk centering Franzen and Nyquist. So again, some changes here and looking to get Pavel ignited.
Well, there's not much room in that between the hash marks there, and Datsuk's making his moves, but guys are all over him as well, and Markov taking advantage of Nyquist underneath him.
Nyquist, who was held off the sheet last night, has 13 points his past 10 games and goals in 9 of his past 11. And he's had some success this season against Montreal with a couple of goals and 4 points in the previous 3 games.
Well, nothing's coming easy for the Red Wings and Nyquist tonight for sure. Bounces aren't their way, and when they are, Carey Price is in the road.
Well, don't miss the excitement on and off the ice. Friday, April 11th, the Wings take on Carolina. Fan Appreciation Night at the Joe. Hundreds of prizes will be given away in arena and on Red Wings social media and right here on Fox Sports Detroit. For tickets or more information, go to DetroitRedWings.com. Final home game for the Red Wings of the regular season. Datsuk steals the puck. Gallagher chipped it back to Weaver. Then Nyquist is in to take it. Off a skate. Backpedaling is De Keyser. Datsuk, his countryman, able to get it over to Quincy. Tipped ahead. Datsuk will go after it there with Francois Bouillon, and it'll be called icing against Detroit. Well, the Red Wings and Montreal Canadiens in the same division since back in the Norris Division days of the early 80s, and 1-800-HANSON's brings you the report card on the play in the Atlantic. Third best record in the Eastern Conference versus the Atlantic for Detroit. 16-7-5 mark and a 66% win percentage from Mike Babcock's group.
Well, a lot of people thought that the Detroit Red Wings may have a problem coming to the East. It hasn't really been that way at all.
Well, those with a problem for Detroit coming to the East are Toronto, Washington, New Jersey, and Columbus coming because they're supplanting those teams who are trying to get into the playoffs. So
yeah,
they were thinking for a while, oh, big deal. And now, as it turns out, with the run the Red Wings are on and now Columbus has come on, it's been trouble for some others. It's a good year not to be in the West, I'd say.
No kidding.
If they say how the West was won, it's going to be a war in the playoffs out West. And I was thinking if the Red Wings meet the Pittsburgh Penguins, you could call it the Injury Bowl, the Replacement Bowl. The Pens at 486 man games lost. The Red Wings at 396. A franchise record for Detroit of man games lost since those numbers started being kept in the mid-80s. Red Wings have used 37 players this season, the most since 90-91 when they used 45. Kronwall able to stop Pacioretty. A minute to go in the second period. Smith to Drew Miller. Price out of the net, played it off the glass. Vanek got it to center ice. Helm bump. Lars Eller carried through in a good play, and Rennie Bork's shot went wide. Boy, Bork a healthy scratch, and he's played a good game tonight. That'll be called on the offside.
Well, it's fashionable to try to rough up smaller players in the league, and Subban does a little bit of that, although he's trying to get away, and he draws a lot of attention when he starts that stuff. But Nyquist really was the culprit there. He had a hold of his stick, wouldn't let it go. What a frustrating night for Mr. Nyquist.
Yurko sent it in. The Red Wings have won their last 4 games for the 3rd time this season. The Red Wings have a 4-game winning streak, have yet to win 5. Sheahan with a chance that Price holds on to. They'll need a great 3rd period to pull this one out to make it a 5-game winning streak.
Well, Carey Price is always in good position, at least tonight anyway. He's just there and makes the save, makes it look easy. As Sheahan jumped in behind as they ran a little interference for him. So this line has worked hard again. They did last night, but nothing to show for it. You will have days like this. It's not as easy as they've made it look the last month and a half.
Laid back by Yemelin to center as the second period comes to a close. Detroit has outshot Montreal, but on the scoreboard not happening as yeah, the Price is right tonight. Carey Price stopping everything the Red Wings have thrown at him. Got a little help from the Iron 2. Our MGM Grand Detroit second intermission has Darren, Ozzie, and Shannon in studio.
Gentlemen, 6'5", 6'4" or so. And boy, he could handle a puck for a big man like that. Slowed everything down. A lot of the centermen in those days did. Stan Mikita, Alex Delvecchio, the likes. Henry Richard up there next to him. 11 Stanley Cups for Henry. My centerman with Jacques Lemaire for a couple of years. Boy, oh boy.
Pocket rocket.
Pocket rocket. Yeah.
And 15 retired sweater numbers here in Montreal. Only 2 single digits left, and neither's in the lineup tonight. And Preston Murray, and Murray's suspended for 3 games. Another defenseman Montreal's without.
If I remember correctly, they're still sitting on 24 Stanley Cups, aren't they?
Yes, they are.
The most ever in hockey, of course. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, the Yankees might have one more in baseball all time. But the Canadians, boy, what a... Danny Gallivan, their former play-by-play guy, Kenny, played here for 24 years. They won 12 cups. Imagine that.
No.
Boy.
There's Douglas Murray's suspension. Off the draw, Franzen with a shot, and it goes over top of the net and up into the netting.
You imagine.
It's amazing.
24 years and every other year you win a cup. How good is that? And how about that? Happy 18th birthday to somebody you know pretty well, your daughter Arlen.
Yeah.
And good thing you're here, because you'd be at home buying for her. Happy 18th birthday, Arlen, wherever you are. Watching the game on Fox Sports Detroit around the Detroit area. I won't tell your dad when we get home.
No. 18. How did I get so old?
That's they say, isn't it funny how the older
they get, the younger
the older the kids get, the smarter the parents get.
Oh, for sure. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think every parent can go along with us on that one, can't you?
Yeah.
Brendan Smith settles in. Alfredson. Kicked ahead by Kronwall to Alfredson to Kronwall. A shot. And that was handled by Price.
Son of a gun's in really good position a lot. To me, he's been the first star over 40 minutes by far in this game. Red Wings outshot the Canadiens 15-4 in the second period. They had by far the number of quality scoring chances for sure, but Carey Price has been excellent. Perfect.
Very controlled, isn't he?
He really is.
Price, and very calm. You know, side to side, gliding along.
But he's no different than all these goaltenders that go down early. You got to get it up right next to his left ear. That's his catching glove on the left side. You can beat him there. You can get it there.
As we mentioned off the top, as Mike Babcock was saying, as great as Carey Price was in Sochi and winning gold for Team Canada, it was almost like a vacation compared to the pressure he faces here in Montreal. Tatar goes after the puck for Yurko. To Shan. And again, Price will hold on.
Canadians, in fairness, are really doing a good job of helping out in front of the net with Carey Price, and they're making his job easy. I mean, here is some of the action we talked about in the second period. And right after that one scramble, the Canadians went down the ice and scored Gallagher, or Giunta rather, to make it 3-0. So he's making it look easy. What do we got off the faceoff? No? I heard a whistle. Where the heck did that come from? It's a free-for-all.
Legwand gives chase. Legwand, Miller, and Glendening now the forward line, and another puck into the netting and out of play, and we'll get another face-off. Just a reminder, as you enjoy a cold one, to look forward to Miller time later in tonight's game, brought to you by Miller Lite. Datsuk off the draw. Giunta too far for Lars Eller. Kendall back for Datsuk, who's now with Franzen and Abdelkader. Yeah. As much as things change, the more they stay the same. Here comes Franzen in across the line. Datsuk pulled down. Franzen cuts to the middle. He put in, and he just lost it off his stick before he could get a good attempt on Price. Eller up the left wing. Markov in behind. He's got it. He shoots it. Could save Gustafsson. All the Red Wings overskated, allowing Giunta to get a shot blocked in front. Eller circling up high at the line. Andrei Markov put it in back of the goal, too far for Rennie Bourque. Eller put it toward the net, blocked by Datsuk. Bourque good hustle. He couldn't get past, though, as Datsuk got a piece of it. Kendall got in front of Bourque, now Datsuk. It's amazing to think Bourque, who steals the puck again, has been a healthy scratch, 6 in the last dozen. Abdelkader went down.
He's collided with Franzen, and he's stung.
Helm smoothly through. Again, he's chopped at, knocked down by Bourneval, no call. Held in by Kronwall. Here's Brendan Smith. Backhanded in front. Nyquist couldn't pick it up. Kronwall will backhand it in behind Alfredson. Smith at the left point, put it toward the goal, hit a skate of Yemelin. Oh, Helm got high-sticked. Again, this one will be called, though. Delayed penalty here to Montreal. As the Red Wings are going to go to a Bell Tire power play. 3:45 into the third.
An awful lot of hacking going on down there, and they're checking for blood on his ear. You get that ear hole, if you will, on the helmet. Oh my God, that is really dangerous high sticking right there. And Pavel Datsuk trying to do his thing, give it off, and he got pulled down there. No foul on that one. So Pavel's been in the middle of a lot of stuff here tonight. The harder he tries, it seems like the worse it gets. But that's the way it is when you're trying to come back and get into the groove and get your timing all over the ice with different plays, especially the way he handles the puck a lot in tight. Those good hands of his, it's going to take some time for him to get really smooth after 5 weeks off.
30 of 34 he missed. Signs just a 16 straight. Alfredson to Kaiser. He's got Tatar on the other side, who has it now. Sheahan in front of Price. The pass across for Alfredson was knocked away by Brian Giunta.
See, they're on the outside with this power play. They got nobody in the middle, and a pass comes across right onto a Montreal stick. I don't know quite what they're trying to do here.
Here's Tatar, stopped by Carey Price. Yurko checked by Tenorti. Knocked away, Weaver. Got it again for Eller. Second effort by Lars Eller. Kronwall for Datsuk. To Franzen to Datsuk. Franzen coming back. Kronwall to Datsyuk again. Legwand in front of Price.
Get it under the stick at 93 and one bullet in this game's 3-1.
Shot just wide. Datsyuk scores. Pavel Datsyuk off the backboards. Makes it a 3-1 game.
What a nice bounce that was. Holy smoke.
Montreal got one like that earlier.
Yeah, they sure did. Datsyuk got a very nice bounce off the backboards, much like Joe Louis. And Carey Price completely out of the top of the circle, right out of the blue paint, actually. And Datsyuk rifles that baby into the back of the net. Legwand occupying the goaltender on that one, and there goes the shutout. And it's 3-1 Detroit with lots of time left, 14:49 left in the third period. 3-1 Canadiens, and an update out of town, New Jersey, who's only 2 points behind Detroit. They're up 2-1 in Carolina with 8 minutes to go.
So you're saying on that mirror, it's say things in this mirror are closer than they appear?
Oh, yeah, exactly. They're always backwards to me. I don't like that at all.
Brendan Smith kept it in. Good job by Drew Miller. Glendening, Miller, and Abdelkader. Kronwall, the only assist at 5'11" on Pavel's 16th. Miller got it through to Abdelkader. He keeps on going. Abdelkader to the goal. What a pass! Scores!
Glendening.
He gets his first National Hockey League goal. Luke Glendening. It's a 3-2 game. He gets the 3-year contract and scores a goal the next game. Way to go.
Oh, boy. He's nothing but smiles, that's for sure. But Justin Abdelkader, the big body at 2:15 and change, went down the right side, held off a Montreal defender. See, the puck was turned over right there by Miller at the blue line, and here comes Abdelkader muffling his way, and a nice move there to avoid PK Subban and make the pass in front for Glendening to chip it up over Carey Price. Nice hustle by number 8 there. Good fake there, and bingo, she's 3-2. And Montreal has called a timeout, rightfully so.
Wow. That's a beautiful goal for your first NHL goal, and you got it on one of the best goaltenders in the business in Carey Price, and you got your team back in the game at the most important time of the year. Yeah, all smiles for Luke Glendening, a weekend he'll never forget. And how about that? Remember, we showed you last night of the players who played 50 or more games in the NHL without scoring a goal. Billy Leno, one of those 5. Luke Glendening, you're off the list.
He's out of your list.
You got it. And who got him the puck? There it is. Kyle Quincy, the keeper of the puck to Pete Van Sant. They'll mark that one up, and he'll have that forever. Unlike you, who probably your first puck's in a basement somewhere in a box, isn't it?
Got dust on it somewhere.
I know. So it's a new game now, isn't it?
Coincidentally, it was with this Canadiens team that I got my very first in Boston against Cheevers and the Bruins. Yeah.
Well, I'm impressed you remember that.
Well, that was good nights playing with Lemaire and Danny Grant. We were the kid line for Toe Blake, and I think we got all 3 goals, but the Bruins beat us 5-3, and that was what a dungeon that was to play in.
Yeah.
And tough, the big bad Bruins.
It was. So 1 shot away from getting the equalizer here. So Montreal sort of feeling how Ottawa felt last night when the Canadiens were down 3-0 all too early and came back and had a 3-0 lead here, and the Red Wings on the verge of tying this one up with 1 more. Pavel Datsyuk got the Red Wings on the board here early in the third, and Luke Glendening's made it a 3-2 game, with Abdelkader and Miller assisting at 5:47 after Pavel Datsyuk scored at 5:11. Yurko carried through. A one line that stayed together for Detroit here. On a hand pass called. So in short order there, the Red Wings strike 2 quickly. Pavel Datsyuk's goal, and then the first of his career for Luke Glendening.
Our Miller Lite Miller moment of the game, as we talked to you about before, will be Mr. Glendening. Congratulations, Luke, on a contract and a goal. First in the National Hockey League. Coming on the turnover, Drew Miller involved. He'll get an assist, and so will Abdelkader. What a play he made. And Glendening cashes in. Your Miller Lite play of the game, and it's 2-1. Now, with 12:52 left in period number 3. New Jersey continues to lead in Carolina late in the 3rd period. If they win that and Detroit loses, New Jersey's 2 points back of the Red Wings. Boy, it's never ending, even though Detroit's 7-2-1 in their last 10.
Pacioretty will backhand it in. Gave Gustafsson some trouble behind the net. Franzen will go after it, but Alexei Yemelin will get there first. Pacioretty brings it back in for Desharnais. Knocked to the corner. Pacioretty with a goal tonight. 12 points his past 8 games. Franzen a bouncer in, and he goes after it. A planned play by Johan Franzen to get a bouncer in on Price. Glendening behind for Miller. Franzen peels off to go for a change. As now Legwand comes over the boards.
Nasty
Hooked
cross
down.
check. Wow.
Yeah, Glendening. Smith going back for it. So now you've got Legwand with Miller and Glendening. Legwand with a puck toward the goal.
Well, you see that line change that Mike Babcock had Datsyuk with Franzen again. But that's what happens when you're 3-0 down. You're mixing and matching and try to get something going. It has.
Red Wings with another change as Helm now comes out with Nyquist and Alfredsson. Alfredsson going after it. Pulled it back, took a shot block that hurt Subban. Second time he's hobbling tonight. Just last night his pride was hurt, and tonight it's both legs. That's chipped ahead. Blashoff goes after it. Oh, he goes down heavily with Bourque. Helm gets those legs moving and comes through center. Into the Montreal zone where Price will play it past him. Brendan Gallagher checked but stayed with it. Off the skate of Galchenyuk.
Should be a nice thing if it goes. Nope.
Galchenyuk, who missed 15 games this season with a broken hand and has trouble finding his hands in the scoring range since coming back. Gus Nyquist. Ahead it goes for Sheahan in a foot race. Sheahan gets to the puck. Look back in front. There's a penalty coming here to Montreal as Francis Bouillon grabbed hold of Riley Sheahan.
Well, you talk about Max Pacioretty in that same spot down the ice to score the Canadian second goal. Riley Sheahan was on his horse, and was he ever flying? Look at him go down the left side, or the right side, really, on his offside, and he draws the penalty here right at the last second. That is really good stuff by Sheahan, who went out of the game with a bad hand earlier. Great second effort and determination from number 15 right there. Red Wings go to the power play with 10:19 left in the 3rd period.
5th power play of the night for Detroit. 1 for 4 thus far.
And there's something going on with Gustafsson. He needs some equipment repair, and the referee's watching closely, so he doesn't just use it as a timeout to rest his guys. He'll be saying, Jimmy, get in here. It takes too much time.
That's Rob Martell over there, the referee.
In the old days, with equipment the way it used to be, they used to undo the strap and waste all kinds of time.
Tonight's broadcast is on AFN, the American Forces Network, broadcasting to the U.S. Armed Forces, serving in 175 countries and aboard ships at sea. They're watching around the world in Iraq, Germany, Italy, Southwest Asia, South Korea, and Japan. Welcome to all. As the Red Wings one shot away from getting even in this hockey game. Datsyuk. Kronwall to Franzen. Kronwall to Datsyuk. Takes the shot. Blocked. Get hit hard. Oh, did he get rocked by his countryman Yemelin? Nyquist played it in.
Nice job.
Legwand back in front. Oh, that nearly went off Markov and ricocheted behind Price. Legwand's got it. Franzen, Kronwall shooting. Price to save. The rebound in front of the goal. it bounced away before Nyquist and Legwand could get a stick on it. Red Wings pressuring here for the equalizer. Legwand left it there to Kronwall, now to Nyquist. Nyquist again, skate the stick, dropped it back. Franzen to Kronwall. Takes the shot, scores! Tie game! Kronwall, power play goal!
Carey Price absolutely had no idea where this puck was. And to his credit, he's not given us any body language as to who to blame. Legwand and Nyquist, it went right between both of them, actually jumped up at the same time. Watch Nyquist out here, and then Legwand, both of them right between Nyquist's legs for sure, and underneath Legwand and off the goalpost. Oh my goodness. Anything else you can hit? And it's 3-3 power play goal, Red Wings, their second of the third period. Wow.
What a third period it's been from a 3-0 deficit.
And I know a few teams that are watching out there going, you've got to be kidding me. Red Wings were down 3-0. And it's now 3-3 with a little over 9 minutes to play.
And what a great play by Gus Nyquist. Maybe a little bit of self-preservation there to get out of the way, but right through his legs. As the Red Wings have struck twice on the Bell Tire power play tonight, they're 2 for 5. And a breakup ice here the other way for Vanek with Pacioretty.
Nice job recovering there by DeKaiser.
This Red Wing team is never say die. The shots are 34-19 Detroit. That sail high over the head of Gustafsson. Yurko's got it. Ooh, that's knocked away. And the line that's been the hottest for Detroit has been the kid line, and yet quiet tonight. Maybe it's their time still to come.
Well, they were responsible for the power play with Shane and that great speed down the wall, drawing the Montreal penalty to get the tying goal.
True. Galchenyuk and to battle the referee, Brad Watson, to get that puck. Played ahead for Thomas Tatar. Another bouncer in on Price, who will play it over to Gallagher. Good back check by Yurko, and Smith stepped up to make the play. Kronwall going off in a change as Brendan Smith brings it through center. He'll turn back, didn't like what he saw. Last shot back to Smith. Kindle with one leg over the boards, once on. That's deflected up and out of play. So the face-off will be at center ice when we come back. It's a new game now, third period, all even at threes, thanks to number 55. Well, let's bring you the third period, which has brought us a new game.
Well, the Red Wings outshot the Canadiens 15-4 in the second period, and they just kept on their ways in the third period. Here, a great play, the turnover by Miller. Abdelkader really digging in and paying the price. And Glendening gets the backhander up and over. That made it 3-2. And then Kronwall up there, two jumping jackrabbits in number 14 and number 17. And that ties it.
And what's great about Glendening's first career goal is it's such a huge goal that matters. You can think sometimes, you know, and you come back and you tie the game, so that's neat. And Nyquist, after a point streak was stopped, he gets an assist, the second helper on the Kronwall equalizer.
It's good there. Abdelkader, 215 pounds, crashing into the end boards.
Datsuk's got it.
Pavel deked himself for that one. Holy mackerel. Offside, no?
Turning around is Gianta. Save made, they score! It went off, blast off and in.
Well, we're gonna go back to the blue line here. There isn't any question this puck was brought in over the blue line with the skates first. The only question is, did he have full control? And it looks like by that replay, does he? Boy,
Linesman right there.
Yeah. And what a bad break for Detroit. Oh, boy, off Brian Lashoff. Wow. If you don't have full control of that puck coming over the line, when your skates go over first, it's an automatic offside. The linesman was right there and deemed it to be in control by Gionta. Wow. Unbelievable.
So a bad break for Detroit. And I've seen that called a lot, Mick, on those so-called offsides where the player can back in across the line already in full control of the puck. You can bring the skates in first in full control, but as we bring you the game angle again, was he in before he ever picked up the puck? Oh, boy.
It's close.
Too close, yeah, but the linesman right there, so...
Very, very close. I think 1 foot was on the line when he touched the puck.
So Gionta, who tied up the game late for Montreal, as we mentioned last time in here, gets another one tonight from Eller and Yemelin at 13-13. That's bad luck right there. As it's a 4-3 Canadiens lead. The Kaiser shoot in, hit Helm.
An awful way to lose a hockey game, I'll tell you. It ends up being the winner.
Another save by Gustafsson. Good stop. Yurko. Well, the Red Wings have come back. Still plenty of time left here. Smith knocking it ahead. Pacioretty back in front for Vanek. Back to Pacioretty. And Gustafsson there again. He's been acrobatic. Yurko. Chipped up by Galchenyuk. Shane goes after it. The Canadiens will tip it back in. The Go Habs go here at the Bell Center. Lashoff for Kindle, back for Brian Lashoff. Shane got a stick on it as Miller goes up. Out with Tatar and Shane. The Canadiens mark off ahead to Thomas Plekanec up along with Gallagher and Galchenyuk. Puck back of the goal for Plekanec. Took the shot, scores!
Tell me that's not goaltender interference.
Gustafsson claiming interference.
I guess so. Wow. I mean, the two referees are going to converge, but I mean, how does the red jersey get in there? He's in there on his own.
It may have gone off him.
Yeah. He or Kindle. One of the two.
Well, this, you know, they'll review this. It may have been pushed in off his arm. It can deflect, but if they view that he knocked it in intentionally with his arm, it'll be a no-goal. Galchenyuk, with just 2 goals, is past 28, none in 13.
Gustafsson's calling Ken for an interference call because he couldn't make a play to stop the puck. The problem with that argument is it bounced off maybe his own player, if not the other, Gallagher, and right into the open net. So, but they were right in his face in the crease.
Oh, I think it went off Galchenyuk, who was in the crease. Watch the overhead. Watch 27 red. Right there, off his arm. Now, they're going to review, did he push it in with his arm or just a redirection, pinball in, and good goal? Let's see. Does he make a motion with his arm to tip it in? Yes, looks like he does.
No.
To deflect it in.
It really, that one replay there really doesn't show any interference on the goaltender
But that's not what they're reviewing.
No,
they're
no.
reviewing whether Galchenyuk hit it in with his arm
That's
or
what
not.
his argument was.
Well,
not the hand.
His better argument might be if Galchenyuk put it in with his arm.
I don't think he knew that.
Probably not, but he did. They're reviewing this, the Situation Room in Toronto. I would say a no goal, but we've been wrong before.
Did he move his arm before the puck hit him or as the puck hit him? That's what they're trying to make judgment on right now. And they've done their job.
So we'll hear the call now from Rob Bartel.
Would they dare do this in Montreal on Saturday night?
After video review, the call on the ice is confirmed. We have a good goal.
Well, Galchenyuk gets his first in 14.
Looks like he made a motion towards the net on those replays, for sure.
I'm with you.
But no, maybe it hit him right in the hip. When you see that replay right there, he may have hit him below the arm on the hip. In that case, it's a good goal, and all of a sudden the 3-3 game has gone away. All those people I talked about that were unhappy are happy again watching the Red Wings fall behind.
Taken by Giunta for Bourque back in front. Oh, what a save. Oh, what a stop again. Oh, Gustafsson.
I guess.
Wow, 2 great stops to keep this from becoming another 3-goal lead for Montreal.
What is that?
And in comes Nyquist to help out on the hard hit on De Keyser. The Canadians came back quickly on Hill. Here's Vanek. Blocked by Smith. That hurt him in the hand. It's loose. And Smith with a sore left hand able to put it back on the stick, and he helped to clear it away. Then it went over Nyquist's stick. Here's Vanek. Couldn't get past Smith. Good skate stop. Darren Helm to Alfredson. Markov.
Oh, they're feeling it here. Listen to them. They like to sing away, away when they figure they got it in the bag. They did it in the first period when it was second period when it was 3-0.
Now Dallas beat Tampa tonight 5-2 as Galchenyuk comes in. So that's good news for Montreal, and they're looking to go 4 up on the Lightning in the battle for home ice in the first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. And New Jersey beat Carolina 3-1 final.
They're now within 2 of the Red Wings. So they must have been awful good. If Detroit's 7-2-1, what's that say about New Jersey? They're hanging right in there.
And to think if New Jersey had won even 1 shootout.
No kidding.
Or they've lost 15 straight going back to last season.
By all accounts, New Jersey has the easiest schedule of all. Detroit, Columbus, Toronto. So the logjam gets even worse with a week to go.
Winnipeg up on Toronto tonight 4-2.
Yeah. It might be the end of the lease if they lose that game tonight.
That's the other part, though, is you're playing a team with nothing to play for can be dangerous, too, when they're playing loose. Oh, big hit on Yurko. And again, it's Yemelin.
Oh, did he give him the stick?
He gave it right back. Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
Good for you.
Go with him.
Good for you. Easy interference call. He rocked him good, too. And Yurko said, take some of this. And I think he tried to make him a soprano instantly. Boy, oh boy. I don't blame him. The 2 calls that could have been interference here. One on, look at that. I mean, you dump the puck in, it's way late. That's an easy interference call. And then De Keyser at the other end of the ice who didn't touch the puck, and Yurko gave it to him good. Woo. But that's what you have to do in this league when you're young.
Look at that.
Gustafsson of those 2 shots at the other end.
Wow.
Back to back. Wow, I was right. And there's the interference on DeKeyser that wasn't called. So you gotta wonder what the heck's going on when you see this stuff happen. Mad scramble around the net. I wouldn't be surprised. Now, what are we going to have? They got double penalties coming up here, or is it just Yurko? Therrien's wondering what's going on. Okay, it is. All right.
So slashing to Yurko and a high stick to Yemelin at 18:55.
So Detroit will pull their goaltender, I'm sure, and Gustafsson still complaining about the 5th goal.
And a reminder, it's more than hockey. It's playoff hockey, and it's where you need to be, and so do the Red Wings. And tickets for round 1 of the Stanley Cup playoffs are on sale now. Get yours today at DetroitRedWings.com or call 313-471-7575 during normal business hours. Well, Jonas Gustafsson had the bad luck with the one-off lash-off, but he has made some outstanding stops tonight.
Minute 5, they'll get him out as quick as they can. Down by 2, why not?
As the teams are 4 aside here. Gustafsson looks to the bench as Franzen comes on. A backhander stopped by Price. With the Red Wings pulling Gustafsson for the extra skater with 52 seconds left.
So Yurko is lucky that he didn't go by himself, but I don't blame him for protecting his space, get run at, and you got to protect your territory in this league or they're going to run you out of it. And young Yurko said, I'm not taking this garbage, take some of this. And he just stuck him good with it, boy. But they go, goal.
Flipped by the Canadians as Kronwall goes back to get it. Kronwall with 48 points now with 2 tonight, a goal and an assist. Tying Henrik Zetterberg's 48, Legwand with 50, but Kronwall to Legwand, couldn't get through. Nyquist for Datsuk. Fans here in Montreal at the Bell Center coming to their feet for their second place Montreal Canadiens as Datsuk brings it in, back to the slot to Nyquist. With 5 seconds left, to the line to Kronwall. The shot went high, and the Montreal Canadiens, who had a 3-0 lead after 2, win it 5-3. What a spirited effort by Detroit. As the Red Wings' 4-game winning streak comes to a halt, and Mike Babcock's career game 700 with the Red Wings fall a couple of the goals short. But who knew it would be this close in this type of game after 2? We'll be back with more.